The year was 1987. The 40th President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, gave a speech to the United Nations. In this speech, Reagan wondered if an alien threat from outside our world could possibly unite all of humanity.
Humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
No president prior to Ronald Reagan has ever mentioned alien life forms in their speech. Some just took it as a nice message of unity, until people started to realize that this would not be the last time that Ronald Reagan would actually mention aliens and aliens invading Earth. Ronald Reagan actually made multiple speeches when it came to an alien life form invading Earth, and how all the countries around the world would have to put their differences aside in order to survive this threat.
I'd answer it this way. I keep, in my frustration sometimes, actually, if you count some of the things going on in smaller countries and all, there have been about 114 wars since World War II. But I've often wondered, what if all of us in the world discovered that we were threatened by a power from outer space, from another planet? Wouldn't we all of a sudden find that we didn't have any differences between us at all? We were all human beings, citizens of the world, and wouldn't we come together to fight that particular threat? I couldn't help at one point in my discussions privately with General Secretary Gorbachev, when you stop to think that we're all God's children, wherever we may live in the world, I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe. We'd forget all the little local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together. Well, I don't suppose we can wait for some alien race to come down and threaten us, but I think that between us we can bring about that realization.
Strangely enough, as the Cold War was raging on and tensions were high between the Soviet Union and the United States, as these tensions increased, President Reagan and Soviet Union leader Mikhail Gorbachev had a secret meeting behind closed doors. It was in this meeting where Reagan would ask Gorbachev this very odd question.
During a break, all of a sudden, President Gorbachev and President Reagan took a walk. They went down to some cabin on Lake Geneva where there was a fire and a fireplace, and you sat down there. I wasn't there, but I know when you came back, there were two friends almost talking about what was going to happen. Then we went to the next day.
От этого камина
From that fireside house,
Yes.
President Reagan suddenly said to me,
как бы вы поступили, если бы
what would you do
Соединенные
if
Штаты
the United States
агрессивно
were
действовали с
attacked
космоса?
by someone from outer space?
Вы пришли бы нам на помощь?
Would you help us?
И без всяких
I
колебаний.
said, no doubt about it.
Мы тоже.
He said, we too. So that's interesting.
This meeting between Reagan and Gorbachev was in complete secrecy. The only ones present were their interpreters. The details of that conversation were kept secret from both the Russian and American public, but during a 2009 interview with Charlie Rose and Reagan's Secretary of State George Shultz, Gorbachev revealed that Reagan asked him point blank if they could put their differences aside in case the world was invaded by aliens. Now, many people do believe that the Cold War did continue on until 1991, that Russia and the United States could never put their differences aside. But in that small period in 1985, during that conversation, Reagan and Gorbachev did agree to pause the Cold War in case of an alien invasion. Oddly enough, as President Ronald Reagan predicted, the two superpowers, Russia and the United States, who were neck and neck, who were at each other's throats at the time, were able to put their differences aside in case of an alien threat. President Ronald Reagan would talk so much about aliens and this alien threat that he would scare members inside his own cabinet. Matter of fact, he would even scare members inside his Secret Service. Many of those had wondered if he knew something that they had not, and they also wondered if something was making its way to Earth. But as time progressed, it was apparent that no alien invasion was making its way to Earth. As history shows, no aliens had invaded Earth, at least not during Ronald Reagan's presidency anyway. But just because aliens did not invade Earth, that did not stop some people from taking Ronald Reagan's word seriously. Enter in Serge Monast, a Canadian journalist and proud conspiracy theorist. Serge Monast would make allegations in 1994 claiming that NASA, along with the governments around the world, were attempting to implement a New Age religion with the Antichrist at its head and start a New World Order via a technologically simulated Second Coming. The Dark Resurrection, the evil Second Coming, the artificially intelligent Messiah. You are now within minutes of horror, because this is Project Bluebeam. Serge Monast, born 1945, conducted normal news journalism between the 1970s and the 80s that people would read. But something inside Monast changed in the early 1990s. He went from an everyday normal news journalist to now devoting himself to writing books on the theme of the New World Order and conspiracies hatched by secret societies. Monast founded the International Free Press Agency, where he would publish most of his conspiracy theory work. He would also go on multiple television shows, appearing unkempt, and seemed obsessed with warning his audience about a world government. Serge Monast turned into somewhat of a false prophet, because with these warnings, he would also put a date as to when they were going to take place as well. He would say that this one world government would take complete control in 1995, and when that didn't happen, he said it would take place in 1996, and then he said it would take place in 2000. So as he was moving the goalpost, he was losing more and more credibility. He should have realized to never put a date on your conspiracy, on your theories. Good example of that is Operation Northwoods, where the United States wanted to create a false flag style attack similar to September 2001, blaming it on Fidel Castro and Cuba, giving the United States a good reason to invade Cuba. The CIA put this on then President John F. Kennedy's desk. He absolutely hated the idea. Matter of fact, he even fired some of the people who came up with this idea. Needless to say, the CIA had the last laugh and JFK was dealt with. While Operation Northwoods never went into fruition in the 1960s, 40 years later, a similar style false flag would occur on September 2001, giving us a reason to invade the Middle East. Serge Monast's warning of a one-world government taking over is pretty spot on, given the fact of what we see today, but it is very risky to put a timestamp on something like this. Even though he was losing credibility, he still created two popular books. In 1994, he published Project Bluebeam, NASA. In 1995, he published his masterwork, Les Protocoles de Toronto, 666, in which he revealed the secret activities of the Masonic group, 666, who for 20 years have been gathering the world's most powerful to establish the New World Order and control the minds of all people. Now, he wasn't wrong about mind control being conducted in secrecy, as the CIA, as of 2018, has admitted to Project MKUltra, or Project Mind Control, where between the 1950s and the 1960s, the CIA were conducting tests on numerous United States citizens, either through drugs like LSD or physical and mental abuse, to the point that individual's mind would crack and they would carry out nefarious tasks. But this form of mind control that Serge Monast spoke of would encompass the entire world. That this form of mind control would be carried out through radio waves, which again he was spot on with, which I will get into later in this video. Monast was not alone. He was working with a fellow journalist spreading the word about Project Bluebeam, about this one world government and this massive mind control on the public. Spreading this message turned into fear and paranoia, as Serge Monast claimed he was being hunted by the police and authorities for involvement in networks of prohibited information. He was so fearful of the police and authorities, he would homeschool his son and daughter, who were then made wards of the state in September of 1996, so that they would receive schooling. 2 months later, Monast was arrested in December of 1996, spent a night in jail, came home, and tragically lost his life due to a heart attack. coincidence may have it, the journalist that was working with Monas uncovering Project Bluebeam also passed away of a heart attack that same month. Serge Monas fans stated he was targeted and taken out by psychotronic weapons to keep the truth about Project Bluebeam quiet, rather than suffering a massive coronary because he was 51 and the stress of having children taken away and spending a night in jail. Even though Serge Monas' age, his size, and his stress had all the makings of a heart attack, many of his fans thought it was odd that his journalist would pass away in a similar manner. And also is the fact nobody knew what Serge Monas was arrested for. There was no rhyme or reason. He was just taken to jail, released the same day, and then passed away of a heart attack in his home. So this led some to believe that maybe there is some truth behind this Project Bluebeam theory. But what exactly is Project Bluebeam? And are there examples today proving that Serge Monas may have not been so crazy after all? The main goal of Project Bluebeam is complete control of the population through a one world government, a new world order. That would mean all these countries that are enemies with one another, including the United States, Russia, China, and so forth, would have to unite. We have already seen this taking place in the 1980s, where two countries, two superpowers, two enemies that were willing to cast all their differences aside to unite against this common alien threat. With that being said, Project Bluebeam has 4 different steps in order to bring it to fruition, and some of these steps we may have already seen being tested on the public. Step 1 involves the breaking down of all archaeological knowledge by faking earthquakes at precise locations around the planet. Now, it is no secret that the government can and will manipulate the weather. They have proven to do so all the way back to the 1940s with certain projects like Project Cirrus and Project Storm Fury. They have shown us how easy it is to create rain and create hurricanes through cloud seeding.
Lasers? Really? To change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
But is there any actual proof that they can create these massive earthquakes? Well, the United States Air Force does have what is known as the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, known as HAARP for short. The most prominent instrument at HAARP is the Ionospheric Research Instrument, a high-power radio frequency transmitter facility operating in the high frequency band. The IRI for short is used to temporarily excite a limited area in the ionosphere. HAARP has been targeted by conspiracy theorists when it comes to strange weather events. It was also the blame for the massive earthquakes seen in Turkey, Syria, and Morocco. There are those that will say there's no way that HAARP can be involved in these earthquakes because it studies the properties and the behavior of the Earth's atmosphere. There is no way that a program designed to study the atmosphere has an impact on the ground below. The only problem when it comes to that argument is that the Earth's atmosphere has been seen to play a role when it comes to earthquakes. Matter of fact, earthquakes that have a magnitude of 7.0 or greater. Earthquake lights, strange anomalies that appear in the sky or the Earth's atmosphere just right before a massive earthquake, still today stumps many scientists behind their appearance. Now, one of the first records of earthquake lights goes all the way back to the year 869, during the Jogan earthquake, described as strange lights in the sky. The lights are reported to appear while an earthquake is occurring, although there are reports of lights before or after earthquakes, such as reports concerning the 1975 Kalapana, Hawaii earthquake. What is odd is that both Hawaii and Japan have reported these shapes to be similar to those of auroras, with a white to bluish hue, but occasionally they have been reported to having a wider color spectrum, but they have always been reported to be similar to auroras. But just as of recent, these earthquake lights have taken multiple different forms. They can appear as lightning strikes or yellow spherical balls. Some have even been known to look like radio towers emitting waves. Like I said, still today, scientists do not have an answer to this bizarre phenomenon. or why sometimes they can appear to look so differently. There are researchers that are skeptical that this phenomenon even exists as we know it, citing a lack of direct evidence. There is also a staggering volume of literature. Hardly any of these papers agree on anything when it comes to these earthquake lights. So then that begs the question, what exactly are these spherical static discharging lights that are seen in the sky? So if there's no definite answer to this phenomenon, then we can't just take it off the table that HAARP is messing with frequencies in the Earth's atmosphere, creating these lights that do relate to these earthquakes. So then that leads to the final question of step 1. Why earthquakes? Why are earthquakes important to Project Bluebeam? Well, according to Serge Monast, these earthquakes will allow fake new discoveries that will finally explain to all people the error of all fundamental religious doctrines. Specifically, they will target Christian and Islamic doctrines. For instance, these new discoveries will prove to Christians that everything that they learned in the Bible is false, and that Jesus is not the Messiah after all. And this could also explain why some of the worst earthquakes seem to happen in the Middle East. The goal here is to abolish all Christian and traditional religions in order to replace them with a one world religion based on the cult of man. This will also help to abolish all national identities and national pride in order to establish a world identity and a world pride. With people turning away from traditional religion due to these relics that will be found, thanks to these earthquakes, this will lead into step number 2, pretty much a gigantic space show wherein 3-dimensional holographic laser projections will be beamed all over the planet. These projections will take shape of whatever deity is most predominant and will speak in all languages. At the end of the light show, all gods will merge into one god, which, let's be honest, out of everything on this list would be the easiest thing to fake. Many like to point to this floating city seen in China as evidence that such large-scale holographic technology is indeed possible. Skeptics claim that this is just a complex mirage known as Fata Morgana, but this wouldn't be the last time a hologram was used to scare and confuse a mass public. In 2021, many people saw in the sky what appeared to be 2 moons. Come to find out, these projections were created by using super realistic sky mapping technology on a 40-meter hollow screen held up by 2 70-meter long cranes. This holographic technology was so powerful that everybody in Dubai was able to see these 2 moons. Scientists have also been working on ways to make holograms more than just holograms, where you can now hear them and also feel them. The University of Glasgow's Bendable Electronics and Sensing Technologies Research Group have now developed a system of holograms of people using aerohaptics, creating feelings of touch with jets of air. Those jets of air deliver a sensation of touch on people's fingers, hands, and wrists. Just imagine what they can do with this style of technology. How easy it would be to trick people through holograms that they can actually touch. These researchers go on to state that controlling a virtual object doesn't give the feeling that one would experience when 2 people touch. The addition of an artificial touch sensation can deliver the additional dimension without having to wear gloves to feel the object, and so it feels much more natural. As of 2023, Google and NASA to even smaller startups are hard at work developing what they call holoportation devices. These devices capture a person's likeness and cast a hologram of them to another location to create a teleportation effect. This can easily fool people to believing that this holographic messiah that they can touch and feel is teleporting all over the world to deliver a message. So whether you believe Project Bluebeam is real or not, that there is a one world government ready to control the masses, this technology is real. It is being created. This is not a theory. So now that they have their holographic messiah, this leads into step number 3, telepathic electronic two-way communication, which involves making people think this god is speaking to them through telepathy, projected into the head of each person individually using extreme low frequency radio waves. It is believed that 5G is playing a vital role when it comes to these low frequency waves, but we actually do have proof that this technology actually exists, that there is technology targeting certain individuals to make them hear things that are not actually there. You can actually read this for yourself on the government's website, National Library of Medicine, Implications of Neurological Directed Energy Weapons for Military Medicine. This government-created article does state that since 2016, there has been an increase in reported cases of intelligence officers and diplomats hearing pulsing sounds, and experiencing neuropsychologic and cognitive symptoms. These varied and often intense symptoms manifest in ways similar to a traumatic brain injury, but without enticing trauma. Investigations of these incidents suggest reasons to be concerned that a specific type of neuroweapon may be the cause of directed energy weapons, DEWs, neuroweapons that target the brain to influence cognition and behavior are leading to a new domain of warfare, neurowarfare. Now, one of the main symptoms of TBI, or traumatic brain injury, are auditory hallucinations, hearing things that are not there. Some people have even claimed to have heard the voice of God, or even demons. There is a strong connection, a strong theory that these DEWs are causing specific people to commit horrific events. Many shooters have claimed to have heard demons inside their head that had led them to cause these terrifying events, which led to massive loss of life.
What's going on today, bro?
The demons, man.
Demons?
Voices. Voices.
Voices and demons?
Where's the voices?
Based on family accounts, a source with knowledge of the investigation says Aaron Alexis had trouble sleeping in recent years, was hearing voices in his head. Law enforcement sources say he made contact with 2 VA hospitals for psychological issues.
The man responsible for the Paducah school shootings told a parole board he still hears voices 25 years later.
Let's also not forget that back in 2008, the Army yanked a very suspicious voice-to-skull device website. They had even shown us that this was doable back in 1974, how frequencies were used with technology to cause people to hear sounds. The Army's very strange webpage on voice-to-skull weapons has been removed. It was very strange it was there, and even stranger it's gone. If you Google it, you'll see the entry for a voice-to-skull device, but if you click the webpage, the link is gone. The entry is actually still available on the Federation of American Scientists website, which reads, non-lethal weapon, which includes 1. A neuroelectromagnetic device, which uses microwave transmission of sound into the skull of persons or animals by way of pulse-modulated microwave radiation. But as I stated previously, this technology is nothing new. This was used back in the 70s in Vietnam against the Viet Cong. Operation Wandering Soul was an operation where United States engineers spent weeks recording eerie sounds and altered voices, which acted in roles of ghostly Viet Cong soldiers. The United States of America also brought in South Vietnam soldiers to record their audio sayings over the tape for further authenticity. The infamous tape dubbed Ghost Tape Number 10 was quite scary. It included Buddhist funeral music and eerie sounds. In addition, there were voices of a girl saying, "Come home, daddy," and voices of men telling them to go home and be reunited with your loved ones so that they can avoid the same fate as they did. I'm going to go ahead and play what the Viet Cong actually heard. Played these tapes on loudspeakers from helicopters. This occurred mainly during the night to prevent the Viet Cong from resting. But many Viet Cong claimed they were hearing voices inside their head telling them to go home, and this would actually drive some of them to go crazy. This led to the belief then that the United States was playing with frequencies and targeting individuals to make them hear voices. So voice-to-skull technology is nothing new. They have been using it since Vietnam, and perhaps even before then. And they have come a long way with technology to the point they can possibly target a mass population. But still, even if they do have a mass population that are hearing voices, they still need to get this mass population to unite and to worship this one world government. And how will they do that? Well, that leads us into the fourth and final step of Project Bluebeam, the fake staged alien invasion. Now, for a long time, and I am talking about years, decades, before 2023, the government having any knowledge of UFOs and aliens existing, was just a crackpot kooky conspiracy theory. You talk about UFOs and aliens prior to 2023 and you were a nut job. But come 2023, for some odd reason, there has been an explosion of information when it comes to UFOs and aliens from the actual government. The same government that were telling us for decades the strange lights we were seeing in the skies were nothing more than weather balloons or swamp gas. But this same government, as of 2023, are telling us there is a giant mothership lurking within our solar system, and it is sending tiny probes down to Earth. And this is from the actual Pentagon. At the start of 2023, there were two odd pieces of news that came out around the same time that seemed to coincide with one another. We had a family in Las Vegas that claimed a UFO crashed in their backyard, and out popped these 10-foot aliens. This story had a little bit more authenticity when the police started to get involved. There was police body cam footage where they saw a green light crash from the sky. The family then decides to call the police. These same police do arrive to the family's home with body cam footage on, talking to the family in their front yard. As they proceed to the backyard, this is where all the body cam footage proceeds to come to an end. We don't know what actually took place in this backyard, but what we do know is that body cam footage was on. They were recording this backyard. But we would never get to see what took place in this backyard because the police department destroyed 16-minute footage of this backyard.
My sources are telling me from Metro that they cannot understand this because when they released the body cam video from the October 17th massacre, 2017 massacre, what they do is if there's something that they don't want you to see, they'll blur it out. But there's no reason why they couldn't have blurred out whatever they don't want you to see. Say if there was something in the back of the family's yard that the family didn't want to be seen, the audio should have been running. In this case, everything is blocked out. So we don't know the conversation between the police officer in the backyard and Angel. We don't know what they were looking at.
Angel's the young man.
So
I want to
that's
be
where I have to
clear
leave it at this
for
point.
our audience. He's the young teenager who called 911 and was the primary observer, witness of this, although other members of his family said they saw it too. Why do you suppose then that the Las Vegas Metro Police did that? Redacted 16 full minutes, went to complete silence and black for 16 minutes. And do you think they'll reverse course to just try to put an end to all the speculation?
Well, obviously it's redacted both on audio and video because there's obviously something they don't want us to see and something to hear. Now, my sources told me that immediately after this incident, a Las Vegas Metro Police Department detective who he works with the gangs or something, he's an IT expert. My sources said he was immediately called in, and the speculation is that something was either deleted or changed in the record system, whether it was a body camera or a dispatch system, we don't know because he's not even talking to his friends. I got his name, but I'm not going to mention it. So that came from reliable sources within Metro.
Oddly enough, police would use their own time and resources and money to install a high-tech camera on this family's roof. Now, one would think to themselves, something had to have happened, something had to have occurred in this backyard for the police to go out their way to do something like this. But the family does later come out and they state they saw nothing. And that is the last we heard of this family. So let's say an alien species did crash into this family's backyard, but we are talking about an alien species that mastered spaceflight. Their technology is beyond anything a normal human can comprehend. They have mastered gravity, space, and time. Yet, for some odd reason, these highly intelligent species that mastered all kinds of things we can even dream of are crashing these high-tech vehicles on Earth. Or could something else be at play here? We do know this is Nevada, and what is located in Nevada but Area 51, a common name of a highly classified United States Air Force facility within the Nevada Test and Training Range. I am more inclined to believe that this alien-like technology was crashed by humans as opposed to a highly advanced species that mastered space. Oddly enough, as this story was making headlines in the news about this Las Vegas family and this UFO that crashed in their backyard, Another UFO story was making rounds in the media. A UFO whistleblower, David Grush, was releasing a lot of information that the United States government has knowledge of UFOs and aliens. And this man has a lot of proven credentials. He is a United States Air Force officer and also a former intelligence official. He stated that the United States government has recovered crashed UFOs and also alien bodies. Matter of fact, he takes it a step further and states that they are actually working with aliens, and there were some hostile moments where they actually lost some military officials. So he is letting us know that these things are hostile. But when it comes to David Grush, what many people don't understand is that the actual government approved what he could talk about, and he had the papers from the Department of Defense signing off what he can say to the media. So in actuality, it's the government, the Department of Defense, that's telling David Grush to tell the United States citizens, to tell the world that aliens and UFOs exist.
This letter with us from the Department of Defense giving him permission to do the interview with News Nation. It says the interview questions are approved for public release. However, this approval does not include any photograph, picture, exhibit.
But why? Why now? Like I said, in the beginning of 2023, when these two events occurred, we just had an explosion of alien and UFO talk. And not just from the public, but also from the government as well. Congress would take it a step further and even host the whistleblowers. While many people believe that this alien and UFO talk died down, it did not. We still have Congress to this day talking about UFOs and aliens, really putting into our mind that they exist. We have senior Pentagon officials telling us the United States is receiving dozens of UFO reports a month. We had Mexico hosting scientists showing us they have proof of alien bodies, pregnant alien bodies with eggs still inside of them. Then on top of everything else in Peru, we have Peruvians claiming they are under attack by 7-foot-tall aliens, what they dubbed as face peelers. There were even photographs coming out of people with their faces removed. They were also claiming that these 7-foot-tall aliens were also hovering. And when the Peruvian citizens were firing back on these aliens, they were claiming that these aliens were unharmed. Is this proof that holographic technology was being used in Peru? We do know the United States Navy was in Peru the same time as this attack. Coincidence may have it that investigators found out that it wasn't aliens at all. Matter of fact, they state that it was gangs using state-of-the-art technology like jetpacks or thrusters that allow them to fly. Now just imagine that, gangs having enough money and technology to have the state-of-the-art technology not to only have this advanced level of holographic technology, but also jetpacks and thrusters to target gold mines in this area of Peru. Yes, gangs. It wouldn't be that Navy sitting there that does have this proven technology. Oh no, it is gangs. But what really struck me as odd when it comes to the whole UFO and alien talk was that we had in October of 2023, Yuval Harari, the advisor to Klaus Schwab, the chairman of the World Economic Forum, stoke Ronald Reagan's speech. Out of nowhere, he came out and said, we need to come together, we need to unite, we need to stop all these arms races in order to combat an alien threat that is being made in a lab.
Is the end of human history. Not the end of history, the end of human-dominated history. History will continue with somebody else in control. If it was a question of, humankind versus a common threat of these new intelligent alien agents here on Earth, then yes, I think that there are ways we can contain them. But if the humans are divided among themselves and are in an arms race, then it becomes almost impossible. And there is, I'm tending to think of it more in terms of really an alien invasion. That like somebody coming and telling us that, there is a fleet, an alien fleet of spaceships coming from planet Zircon or whatever, with highly intelligent beings. They'll be here in 5 years and take over the planet. Maybe they'll be nice. Maybe they'll solve cancer and climate change, but we are not sure. This is what we are facing, except that the aliens are not coming in spaceships from planet Zircon, they're coming from the laboratory.
Does that not sound awfully familiar to the multiple speeches that Ronald Reagan gave when it came to aliens and UFOs, and how they were a threat to humanity and how we all need to unite. Oddly enough, it is the same World Economic Forum along with the United Nations that is pushing for this one world government. You can see it on the United Nations website, the 2030 Agenda, and this agenda is meant for the whole world. 18 steps countries around the world must follow in order to sustain a better world, to sustain a better humanity, including fighting climate change. But how are they going to make us one government where we follow these common laws? Well, as it's been hinted to since the 80s, and it's been really ramping up in 2023, a threat from outside this world, a common threat, a fake staged alien invasion. Using these technologies they have been working on, they will stage an alien attack so bad on this earth, it will make any conflict seen on this earth look minuscule, look like child's play. Every nation will be under attack, economies will crash, there will be famine. Turning to the government will not be enough, people will start turning to religion of the Antichrist, that holographic Messiah they were seeing in the skies. According to Serge Monas, this holographic Messiah will start making appearances and start making miracles. It will also tell all the world's governments they will need to unite and worship him in order to be saved. Once all the world's governments unite and start to worship this Messiah, with a flick of his hands, this invasion will just disappear. These aliens will just go away. This Messiah will continue to make miracles. Famine and hunger will go away. Economies will start to get better. This Messiah will enact peace on earth for a couple years. There will be no more division, no more separation. There will be now a one world government, a law of man. But this Messiah will all be a facade. He will not be the one in charge. The one in charge will be this one world government, the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, and so forth. They will enact these laws and policies as seen on the 2030 Agenda website through this fake AI holographic Messiah. Freedom will be lost, and this new government will be in complete control of every citizen around the world. You will be restricted to where you travel and how you travel, what you eat, what you say. There will no longer be a unique identity when it comes to nationality, race, religion, or gender. Speaking out or breaking most laws under this new utopia could be punishable even up to death. Ultimately, putting all of society just right where the government wants them to be, in a totalitarian police state. Now, when it comes to the Project Bluebeam theory, there are many of those that state that Serge Monas was just crazy, and that he got much of this information from Star Trek. In 1975, Gene Roddenberry wrote a script for a Star Trek film, which later had the basis of Project Bluebeam as its plot, but the film was never made. It was later described in a book. So is it very possible that Serge Monas created Project Bluebeam out of what he read in a Star Trek book? Yes, it is. But we cannot forget that Gene Roddenberry was also a United States military intelligence serviceman. So did Gene Roddenberry get the basis of Project Bluebeam from the actual government, from the military themselves? We do know that the media, including television and movies, like to use what's called predictive programming, and they get a lot of this predictive information from the actual government. Well, let's look at a timeline prior to 1975, prior to Gene Roddenberry, a United States military intelligence serviceman, writing the script. In 1947, we had the Roswell incident where a UFO crashed in Roswell, New Mexico. The government claimed that they did recover not only a UFO, but also an alien body as well. That same year, Project Blue Book, not Blue Beam, but Blue Book, is established by the United States Air Force, the Covert Systematic Study of UFOs. Project Blue Book had two goals, namely to determine if UFOs were a threat to national security and to scientifically analyze UFO-related data. In 1953, classified CIA documents, now declassified and submitted by former United States Director of Central Intelligence, Walter B. Smith, details how UFOs could be used as psychological warfare. This is where we might be seeing the beginnings of Project Blue Beam. 1955, Area 51 is built. By 1969, Project Blue Book is terminated. 1970, this is where Project Bluebeam possibly takes its place. 1975, Gene Roddenberry writes the script for a Star Trek film that has the basis of Project Bluebeam as its plot. Same year, Gene Roddenberry abandons the script. 1977, German and American aerospace engineer and space architect Wernher von Braun spends the last few months of his life with cancer explaining to Dr. Carol Rawson that an alien card is going to be played by the government and that it is all a big lie. 1985, United States President Ronald Reagan and Soviet Union leader Gorbachev would conduct a secret meeting to discuss coming together to face an alien threat. 1987, this is where we have Ronald Reagan making his speech to the United Nations that we need to come together to face this common threat of an alien species from outside our world. But for whatever reason, just like with Operation Northwoods, this project was never carried out. This attack never occurred. Aliens never came to visit Earth and make us unite as one back in the 80s. But now one has to ask, with all this alien and UFO talk that now is circulating not only in the media, but in the government as well, are they now starting to initiate a phase of Project Bluebeam so they can meet their 2030 agenda goal and a one world government? Thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.